Jorge Polanco just continues to be one of the best hitters in the game. He hit another one. Jonathan Schoop, you know what, to be honest, a big acquisition by this team in the offseason. Because Schoop was a guy who was a power-hitting, all-star second baseman for a couple years. And then he was awful a year ago, trying to find himself. To pick him up off the scrap heap, there's potential there. He hit 2. Max Kepler, Eddie Rosario hit 1 each. CJ Cron went 5 for 6 and hit another bomb. The funny part is that they're still putting up runs in bunches without Garver, who's going to be out for another couple weeks probably. I mean, he's one of the best hitting catchers in the game. What can you even say? The Twins have been unbelievable. Everybody's been, counting the other AL Central teams out for a long time, and I understand that. Understandably so, because they haven't deserved any credit. Now they do. The Cleveland Indians had better wake up over there. They finally have company in the AL Central. This isn't 2018. 2019 brings new surprises. Moving on to the NBA playoffs. The Toronto Raptors, led by a Kawhi Leonard, who had been on and off hobbled by an injury, they came back to win Game 5 on the road and have won 3 straight games over the favored number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. Now, they say that the first team to win on the road, like the series hasn't started until one of the road teams win. Like, that's a big deal. Home court advantage is a huge deal in the postseason. There have been times throughout this series where you watch the Bucks and say, that's an experience. Young Bucks, literally young Bucks, trying to do too much. Kawhi Leonard is making his case for the best player in the world. He is. Now, he's not the kind of guy who's going to say it, that he's the best in the world, but he deserves to be mentioned in the conversation. Because a lot of people, don't necessarily put him where he belongs in that conversation. He dropped 35, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Van Vliet, somebody forgot to tell this kid that role players don't necessarily play as well at home. He put up 21 points, 7 threes. He was 7 for 9 from beyond the arc. Absolutely stunning for a lot of people who frankly thought this series was over after the Bucks took the first 2 games. Everybody figured that the Bucks were too deep. Everybody talked about how the Bucks are, 9 to 10 deep. They have so many guys who can, step up if needed, and that is very important. That Toronto probably has the better, starting 5. They have, a good 5 or 6. And the Bucks are just, they just have more. They're bigger, they're longer. more physical. They have shooters. Like, the Giannis was too dominant. Plus, with the home court advantage, the number one seed. And Toronto, of course, with the whole, that they're thought of as chokers. There's no way Toronto would win. Well, don't count out Kawhi Leonard. His heart, his will. He's worked his way to the top. Like I've said before, all he cares about is winning basketball games. All he cares about is improving his game and winning. That's all he cares about. He's elite on both ends of the floor. Kyle Lowry, he's been unreal. He's had the series of his life. I feel like every time he puts up a three, it's in. Kyle Lowry has had a past history of, just really being bad in the postseason. Not even just for his standards, just being bad. Now, do I think either of these teams have a real chance of beating the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals? No. I won't believe that until I see it. I'm done thinking that teams can beat the Warriors. Like every time I get my hopes up. I thought the Blazers would be better against Golden State. I thought without Kevin Durant. Now, I didn't think they were going to win the series, but I thought that Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, they were ascending going against the backcourt of the Warriors, Steph and Clay. And then the role players, obviously Cantor and Harkless and Aminu and Collins and a lot of these other guys, I thought that they play with a lot of heart. I thought that they would put up more of a fight against the Warriors. They melted. Don't even get me started about Damian Lillard and the way he's played the last two series. Ever since that shot that ended the Thunder series, that big shot that he made, the 37-footer, heard across the country, the lights have been out. I am enjoying the fight in the East, though. Two MVP caliber players going head to head. That has been fun to watch. Both of these guys making a case. But to me, once again, I'm going to say it. Giannis needs to be able to shoot on a more consistent basis for me to be able to call him the best player in the world. I believe that LeBron James is better than Giannis. I believe that Kevin Durant is better than Giannis. I believe that Kawhi Leonard is better than Giannis. You can make a case that Steph Curry, because of the fact that he's been so dominant. I feel like Steph Curry doesn't get the... People just think of him as just a shooter. He's the greatest shooter ever. He hasn't really needed to do much else. But he's got a handle too. You can make the case that James Harden, even though I don't believe he's better than Giannis, but I believe that Harden was the MVP, but I don't think he's better than Giannis. Just because of the fact that in the playoffs, James Harden tends to disappear when it matters the most. I'll just say that. But anyway, Coach Nick Nurse has done an incredible job. Him and Kawhi Leonard came in last year. Not only they came into a situation that was dead. And I'm going to be honest with you, they were dead. The Toronto Raptors, after the last few years, last year getting swept away by the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were dead. Their reputation was tarnished at the time. They came in and took an organization that was known as chokers, a fan base that was desperate for something positive in the postseason, and making them believe again. That in itself is tough to do. That in itself is very underrated. They have a shot to finish this series off at home and head to the NBA Finals. To be honest, that would be stunning because there are a lot of people who doubted the Toronto Raptors this year. And, I think that they, a lot of people felt that they were, outmanned in this series. But here it is. Game 6 is their Game 7. Because I don't see them going and winning 2 games in Milwaukee back-to-back. I don't see that happening. They have to win it on their home floor. They have a chance to do it, and they need to do it. Because if they blow Game 6, they're not winning Game 7. This is what it's all about. I like seeing this. Game 6, Game 7. A chance to knock the favorite off. That's what the postseason's supposed to be. But that'll about do it for me. I'd just like to say thank you to all who are listening, all those in the chat room. Hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Stay good looking.